I'm a hit-type superstar. I got 2D hoes, you know who we are. We look fresh to death, hopping out the car. Anime girls running from here and far. Young Sip, I got the game on lock. 2D girls trying to get up on a job. Yeah, Young Sip, I got the game on lock. When we shop, let me show you how we rock. So, do you know got stacks on deck, spending every single dollar on some anime sex. Sweetie booty be my motor for those anime breasts. Let me see you bend it over while I'm throwing those checks. Yeah, 13 with the waifu in a dream, but now living in big with my more than team. My mama don't stay green while I'm pouring sipping lean, and my shit stay fresh, so hot, so clean. Yeah, sip I grinding all summer, now it's 2016 with a game for a runner. Every wife you need a lover, sip I do it on the covers, and she tell me hit it raw, so I'm pulling up the rubbers. And she be the gunner, so give us I wanna fucking rub it in between the legs with a clinch while we hopping out. Slow down, come on, let's take this chance. Let me see you shake that ass. 1, 2, baby, what it do? We can take it back to my place, show you what we do like. 1, 2, baby, what it do? We can take it back to my place, show you what we do like. 1, 2, baby, what it do? We can take it back to my place, show you what we do like. 1, 2, baby, what it do? We can take it back to my place, show you what we do. And then maybe elevate to you what we put the taking super sauce, we in the making, and you know we never faking. If you trying to come and make it, then you gotta go and break it. Ain't no handle in the game, no, you gotta go create it. I've been straight grinding since I'm 18. Now I'm 21 and strong with my wife and team. 2D girls be my life, man, that's all I breathe. So if you down with the movement, you can roll with me, bitch. Roll with me, roll with me. 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 All my dogs got a cop, yo, moto give me time to be flying out to LA just to buy body talk. Hit that goes up as a lock, sip, I just cannot be stopped. If she ain't gon' fall back, then I'ma hit her with that block. Since I do more shop, killing 2016. Shout out to the cute models, always rapping our team. Kids, I do more shop, killing 2016. We gon' do it for the wife, just keep on living the dream, yeah.
move to a new school. You're a transfer student now, and you have to introduce yourself to the whole class.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, just a brief introduction. We'll start with Light, I guess.
Okay, so I'm Light, and I've played Shadowverse for almost, I think, 3 years. I started with the third set, Rage of Bahamut. So when I started, I played a lot of Swordcraft because I put like 2 Alberts, and yeah, since then I've played almost the whole time. Sure.
I'm sorry, guys. I fucked up the mic setting.
Poor Kyo.
Hey, Techo.
Okay. Let's start over. Let's start over. Kyo sit back. Kyo sit back again. This is gonna be cut on the YouTube version. All right. So Q again.
よろしくお願いします。先輩。
I'm a hentai superstar. I got 2D hoes, you know who we are. We look fresh to death, hopping out the car. Anime girls running from here and far. Young Sip, I got the game on lock. 2D girls trying to get up on her job. Yeah, Young Sip, I got the game on lock. Moment shot, let me show you how we rock. So, who you know got stacks on deck, spending every single dollar on some anime sex. 2D booty be my motive for those anime breasts. Let me see you bending over while I'm throwing those checks. Yeah, 13 with the waifu in a dream, but now living in big with my more than team. My mama don't stay green while I'm pouring sipping lean, and my shit stay fresh, so hot, so clean. Yeah, sip I grinding all summer, now it's 2016 with a game for a runner. Every wife you need a lover, if I do it on the covers, and she tell me hit it rock, so I'm pulling up the rubbers. And she be the gunner, forgive us, I wanna fucking rub it in between the legs for the clinch while we hopping out. Slow down, come on, let's take this chance. Let me see you shake that ass. 1, 2, baby, what it do? We can take it back.
Hey guys, and welcome to the 11th episode of MS Talk. I am your host, Kyo, and this is the second time we're doing this intro because somebody screwed up again with the audio, just like in Castle Royale. But that aside, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear us. I'm waiting for chat to respond. Everything okay, right? Because I don't want to do this a third time, so... That's not responding, but they're also not. Okay, we're good. Shira went with the sarcastic comment. So anyway, I'm your host Kyo, and today I am joined with 3 of our newest West member, Light, Juge, and NtRoPiE, and they all are from Germany, which is Germany, which is a pure coincidence. Definitely not something that Shira planned. Definitely not that. They just all decide to join us at the same time. Well, I think all at the same time, right?
Yes, and Anna, who is also incidentally from Germany.
Also, who's not here today, but yeah, because MS Talk is for 3 people. 3 other people, not other than me. I don't get counted because I'm the host.
You're VIP, Kyo.
I'm
You're VIP.
Always here. Except
There must
last
be
episode.
one host, right?
Except last episode when I'm not here, but that doesn't count. But yeah, so the idea of this episode is that Shira wants me to introduce the new German members. So I think we'll do that before we go to the main topic. And the way we'll do it is, let's do it like this. So think that you guys are transfer student, transfer to a new school, and you need to introduce yourself to the whole class. So maybe like do a brief introduction, something like that. So we'll start with Light, I guess.
All right. So yeah, I'm Light, and I've been playing Shadowverse since the 3rd expansion, Rage of Bahamut. And I started off because I saw other people from my friend's circle playing it. when I was playing other card games in the shop. So I was interested, and I also played Hearthstone before, so it was quite an interesting game for me because it also has like more appealing art style than Hearthstone personally to me. And yeah, since the Rage of Bahamut release, I've been playing most of the time, but with some breaks in between. And yeah, so recently, this year, I've started playing the SVO app for a bit longer. I started playing from April onwards and managed to sneak a win in August, which was pretty hype. Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
he got into our Redder. Also, I guess you were a friend with DF, right?
With who? Sorry.
Different fight.
Oh yes, with Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing him from time to time at events.
And of course, different fight is kind of associated with us in terms that he casted for MS Cup, and that's how we got to get light here after he won August.
Yeah.
You guys know, like all four of these new German players join us at the end of September, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think shortly after that one.
Yeah.
And then
basically after the last SVO before Contender. I guess we'll continue with Juge.
Hi, I'm Juge. I'm also a German player. I started playing Shadowverse in April, at the start of April, so I'm relatively new. I have been playing other card games for roughly 12, 13 years around, so I do have experience, but yeah, for Shadowverse I'm relatively new, so I don't have the success yet, or any wins at all, but I hope they will come.
Yeah, that comes later. It's inevitable if you play.
I mean, we have a 5-0 in Shadowverse weekend. It's not everyone can claim to have. I don't.
I haven't had a 5-0 in Shadowverse weekend yet, but that's mostly because I don't play Shadowverse weekend that much. Just it's pretty bad. But
yeah, we're just in it for the packs, so.
you mentioned you played other card games, right?
Yes.
So I think I heard that most of you guys are Vanguard players before playing Shadowverse.
I had a dip in Vanguard, but that's like 8 years ago. I mostly played Pokemon, some Yu-Gi-Oh, and currently Weiß Schwarz.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we're all mostly Vice players. So.
Yeah.
English GP. No, I mean.
I specifically not. I play mostly Japanese and don't have any English cards yet. I was planning to get into the English side of things this year, but with how the year has turned out, that plan fell through.
Me also, JP.
I used to play Wise as well, but stopped like around 2 years ago when I started trying to go focus more on Shadowverse. That's pretty fun. Wise is actually a pretty fun card game, but you know, it's kind of feel bad if you try to go full competitive on that card game. So yeah, I really. But yeah, lastly we have NtRoPiE here, who's our prominent news streamer.
Yeah, well, I'm NtRoPiE, and I've been streaming over on Twitch for a while now. I've started picking up the game again because of the current world situation, and I was like way back in Darkness Evolved meta I started when the game actually came out on Steam. So actually I have been playing the game for a very long time already, but I never actually took part in tournaments except for this year. So yeah, I also play Wise like the other two guys, and that's more or less it.
Yeah, the whole situation with Corona makes it a bit more a bit more give you a bit more incentive to play digital card games instead of like paper card game. I do miss paper sometimes though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
totally.
also miss it.
Like the difference between playing against a player online and not being able to see their faces and just playing offline. I miss touching my cards.
Yeah, real life shuffling is different, right?
Yeah, real life playing.
No.
But one thing stays the same: the bad RNG you have afterwards. So
Oh, well, especially
Yes.
play wise.
Yes, some saltiness.
I used to joke a lot during the early days. Whenever everyone says that RNG in Shadowverse is bad, oh, I go first or I go second. I'm like, it's not as bad as Wise, so it's okay for me, I guess.
Sometimes they're just that.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. My worst luck in Wise is that I use Mill for Brainstorm when my deck is only 6 cards and I have 2 Climax in. And it was bottom 2 Climax.
classic.
So I built 4. I
Ah.
tried to pick up my deck because it has 2 Climax, right? So most of the time I would definitely hit it. And then my opponent say, "Stop! Look at your Brainstorm result." Okay.
Oh no, not like this, Kyo.
And my turn. Shameful enter. Can't even attack. 2 Climax. But yeah, so that should wrap it up for the introduction. But for the main topic of the day, we want to review mini expansion, which some might say a bit too late because the card has been out. Everyone else has finished their mini expansion video, and we just started talking about it. But you know, it's never too late, and we have the advantage of being able to play with the card before reviewing it, which I feel like a very good advantage.
Yeah, we can do like a mini summary, right, of the early meta.
Yeah. Has been exactly 3 days after mid expansion. I guess it depends on your time zone, but for me it's 3 days.
Yep.
And we also have GCG result for rotation or rating, so we have a lot of information to kind of deduce if X card has been good or bad. And before we start this, just want to say, like, before the mini actually dropped, I was very down for this mini expansion, as in, like, I don't really think this card is good enough to change the meta and make it better. But surprisingly, has been pretty good. What do you guys think about that? Like, before we start,
Should we talk in order or?
Let's go with same order, right? Just
yeah.
give input.
Okay, then I'll go first. So yeah, I think every mini expansion has like some kind of impact on the meta because people get bored of the old meta and new cards are always refreshing. And the new cards are not that bad, and I saw a very diverse meta on ladder at least. So I see many people trying out new stuff, and yeah, few players play like the old decks mostly.
Yeah, it's been like a good mix. Hey, go on. Can go on.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Always interrupting him.
Sorry, my bad.
Oh no, I'm done. So you can go on.
Okay. I haven't seen every card being used yet, but a lot of the cards I came up against, and it looked really fun. So it's definitely a breath of fresh wind. I hope that's okay. And yeah, most of the cards are interesting. I don't think there are too many bad cards among the new mini cards. Some are definitely not usable, but the new decks look all fun, and I can't wait till they get refined.
What about you, NtRoPiE?
Well, I have been playing Unlimited first because I wanted the meta to develop a bit before jumping into that. And I've seen countless of old cards, especially the buffed ones. But well, the new at the start, before like the Mania extension came out, I was also very skeptical that the expansion had much impact on the game itself, because some of the cards are good, but they looked like they lacked something to change the meta. That's how I felt about it. And then after the mini drop, everyone was playing the new decks. I tried at least to make it work. And well, I think the meta is in a better place right now. So I kind of like how it changed. So yeah.
Yeah, certainly diversity has been a whole lot better, which is a good news because diversity in this expansion has been pretty low, I'd say. But we've been through a very, very long roller coaster ride, and I think I can finally say has been pretty good. And speaking of like new decks, I guess we'll just jump right into our first card. We'll start from Forestcraft, and we'll talk about the Forestcraft Legendary, which is Levin's Scentbound Sword. It's a 5 mana 5/5, evolve into a 7/7 with the effect of Crystallize 1, Countdown 3, Funfair, destroy an enemy follower with 2 defense or less. Last word, put 11 Scentbound Sword into your hand. And the main body himself has Funfair, destroy an enemy follower. Then, if at least 4 enemy follower have been destroyed this match by an allied 11 Scentbound Sword's Funfair effect, deal 5 damage to the enemy leader. This does counts the crystallized Funfair effect, so because it has the same name, basically. That's how the card works. You only need to destroy 3 cards before you've played this, because it will destroy the fourth card and then deal the 5 damage. Unless you have nothing that you can destroy on your opponent's side of the field, which I believe he doesn't actually even trigger the 5 damage at all.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does. Okay. As long as you have 4 before that, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 3 and there's nothing to destroy, it doesn't burn. So that might be like something that you kind of have to get used to, I guess. Because I can see like you have this mind that after 3, the 4th one will always destroy the 4, and then deal 5. And then you're like, oh, I have lethal in hand, and opponent doesn't have anything on board when you only have destroyed 3. You just played it and wait, doesn't burn. But yeah, very, very interesting and powerful card. We've seen this right now in a different variety of decks. The Evo Axel Forest has been playing this, and then also see some play in Luxus, and can potentially see play in even in Tempo Forest. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the card is a very nice addition to the existing Luxus or the Tempo Forestcraft deck. It's not good for Excel, I think, because it's not Excel. And yeah, the Crystallize effect is one of the few efficient ways to remove Ramiel. And yeah, I think it's in general a very nice addition to the Tempo Forest deck, because it is another unique amulet which buffs Sukuna's effect.
Yeah, the fact that this is a unique amulet does let you deal 1 more damage to Sukuna. You can trigger Luxus with this if you have a bounce in hand. So you can bounce this away, get Luxus, open up, and use amulet.
But personally, I think I haven't seen too many copies from this card in the meta decks so far. I think I only saw like sometimes you have like a 1 or 2 of this card in the Luxus deck, and yeah, I think more than that is not justified.
Maybe Juge?
Yeah, I also saw only like 1 of copies in Luxus. I've seen the card being played actually quite a bit in the Accelerate Forest deck. I really so when I played against it, I haven't played it myself. There were some cool plays you can make with the 2 defense or less destroy. It gives the deck more targeted removal. Like there is a new Accelerate card in Rivayle that randomly destroys a follower if I'm not, or deals damage randomly to a follower. And with this one, you can target directly an enemy follower, so the removal is nice. Obviously, it doesn't trigger accelerate, but still the control option is nice for that deck. Other than that, I haven't seen the card being played too much.
Yeah, it does synergize with exactly one accelerate card, the Wood Wolf. So you do have like incentive to play this and accelerate. And I think you point out a very good point. This is a very good removal. It bypassed some of the hard to remove cards that we've been seeing in the meta. Ramiel and of course Sarisa, two of the most hard to clear followers so far. Yeah, it has been a big problem.
Yeah, as for the accelerate card I mentioned before, the new one is Carmine, just so I get the name out there, with deal 3 damage to random followers, so it doesn't destroy, but it's also kind of removal for the accelerate deck, and this one is just lets you target and not randomly destroy something or deal 3 damage.
Yeah, sometimes hard removal is more valuable than just dealing 3 damage. So I think if you have the option of randomly deal 3 damage or using the amulet to hard remove a Ramiel, I'm pretty sure the amulet is better. I've seen it in 2 decks exactly right now as well, the 2 meta decks, and over in Unlimited I don't think I've encountered Forest yet, but it would make a nice addition to the Acro Forest that has been spawned this expansion with the amulets. So kinda see where it is good. Also, it's a 5 mana removal that's also dealing phase damage, so I really like the design. And I didn't know how the card turned out because it's a good card overall, but it seemed like if you want to make it happen, you have to kind of force it into a deck like Tempo Forest or the Excel Forest. While it is not an Excel, it still helps you out by removing the stuff. So I think it's good regardless in both decks.
Yeah, we didn't talk that much about the 5 mana side of things, but it is under Zelganea if you like. It's a 5 mana 5/5 to remove something, and instead of healing, you deal 5 damage potentially. That side is also pretty good. Like if you don't have anything on turn 5, just playing this and evolving over something, killing a very hard to remove follower.
Yeah, it also has decent stats.
Yeah, you're basically getting 2 for 1 done.
Even if you don't have this to immediately answer Sarisa and it grows, you can still use the 5 cost version.
Yeah.
Playing this does mean that you have to kind of play the bounces like the Wood Wolf and Airborne Barrage, just to get the 4 destroyed enemy follower active a bit faster. I think like the most interesting card about this card being in meta, it sees like some plays. I think mostly it sees plays in the ladder, hasn't seen that much play in GCG. But the most interesting part of this card is that if you play against it, maybe there are like some play that you can make just to deny your opponent from being able to destroy and get the 4 followers off that quickly. Like maybe you pass turn 2 just because you don't want your opponent to play 11 crystallize into a play a 3/3. Like if you're playing something like Evil Sword, I can see that being the case. Like you pass turn through, have your opponent play a minion so you can get Kagebitsu active. That's pretty interesting.
No more turn 1 Kagemitsu. Always ladder player. Always the same.
Not against Forest, anyways.
That's also interesting because Forest doesn't really have that much early game removal in the card pool right now. The only one they have is Airborne Barrage, and Airborne Barrage needs you to have something on board first. So if you don't have a 1-drop on 2, you can't use Airborne Barrage to kill anything. But this does solve that in a way. And like turn 4, there are many cute ways you can use this to kill multiple minions with bounces and stuff.
Yeah,
Be pretty interesting.
Very versatile card.
Be pretty interesting in the future if they decide to print more bounces. Maybe a 2-mana 2/2 that bounce something. Not like we have those before, right? But yeah, let's talk about the next card then, which synergize pretty well with Levin. It's a spell for Forestcraft. It's a 2-cost gold spell, Fairy Flowering, with the effect of give an allied Forestcraft follower the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points. If you have played cards using their accelerate effect at least 2 times this match, draw a card. Then if it at least 4 times, give the selected follower +2/+2. Then if at least 6 times, give it Storm. So that's a lot of text in a single spell, but basically it buffs 1 follower and potentially gives Storm and free evolve. Also has draw on top of it, which is pretty nice. I won't say that much about this card yet, but let's start with Light again.
Okay, yeah, so these kind of cards are really good for mini expansions in my opinion, because it creates a whole new archetype. It's not like just an addition to an existing deck. It makes Accelerate now a proper deck and has a finishing card. And this card is very strong in itself. And yeah, I think Accelerate effects are already like on level, which are with cards which you would play anyways. And it's not really a downside to play a card for its Accelerate effect. And yeah, getting to the condition is very easy in my opinion. And yeah, I see people playing this with Irene. I think it's called Irene. So yeah, when you have her buffed, a lot of time you can attack with her twice for possibly an OTK. Very strong card.
Yeah, because you do not only buff Irene, but give her the ability to evolve, which gives her the double attack. The double attack is on. I haven't played Irene since like last year. Last year's.
I've never played this card.
I think it can double attack normally, but it gains the shield on Evo.
Yeah.
Oh, and War.
No, it gains the double attack on Evolve only.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the
sure.
free
Because
evolve-
sisters are all also like.
I have it open, so
Okay.
the fanfare is just if you play it for other cards, you can evolve it for free. I know it evolves for free.
It evolves for free. So you don't actually need to play 4 cards to activate Irene's double attack. Just need to play this on Irene, and you get the evolve effect, gets the double attack, gives +2/+2, and of course Storm. It's a pretty strong combo, which only lasts for 1 month before it rotates, because Irene is Verdant Conflict. So, you have anything to say, Juge, about this card?
Well, I don't really have anything to add. Gave Accelerate a finishing option, which is nice after my boy Terraformer got gutted. Yeah, other than that, Light said everything about the card.
Well, I also think it's a very strong card when it was printed, because like the Accelerate plan missed its finisher after the Terraformer got gutted, and then there's no Roach anymore. So kind of nice to have an end game now again with Fairy Flowering, trying to give something Storm. Maybe play 2 Irenes. I don't know, she's 4 cost, right? So you can't even double Irene, double Flowering?
You can. It's just
Yeah.
3 cost. Irene's 3 cost. So turn 10 you can do double Irene, double Flowering, and super
Oh yeah,
over
okay.
your opponent.
We
So-
haven't gotten to turn 10. No way.
Imagine getting turn 10 in 2020 and still hasn't win the game.
Can I throw something in here?
Yeah, sure.
I think
Yeah.
with Primal Giant and Aaron's Heal, it's actually possible for Forest to go to turn 10. Also, the Evo point recovery, you can spam Archangels. So it's not out of the question, is what I want to say.
Yeah, it's been a while though since I saw Forest going that late. Because before mini expansion, it always like finished early because of the nature of the Storm Forest deck usually.
Yeah, I've played against this deck. I've played against Exarate Forest with Baal, and it was not funny. They healed up like I don't know how many damage. I had to deal like 40 damage, and they were still not dead, I think.
But we have also to keep in mind that most of these cards, like the cards from Exiled Forest, like Primal Giant, Irene herself is gonna rotate next expansion. So like in terms of future prospect, this card, I think it's still pretty strong because this does like because of the free evolve and the +2/+2, this does buff something for 4 damage extra and then give it Storm. Like if this is printed like 2 years ago, you'd blow your mind. Plus
3 years ago.
+4/+4 to something and give it Storm? What the hell?
Power creep.
Also, only 2 play points. Doing your normal game plan will reach the end game of this card.
Yeah, for only 2 play points. It also draws you a card for whatever reason. Like, because the funny thing is when the first time I saw this, I was like, okay, looks pretty cute. I don't know if this will save Axel Forest because the deck doesn't really have that much way for you to deal chip damage. Because most of the time, of course, you have the Beastmaster, the 5 costs for 5. That does deal chip damage, but usually comes up pretty late, like on turn 7 or turn 8. So I wasn't that excited about it. But considering how much control that the Axel package gives you with Carmine that we talked about earlier, of course, Primal Giant and Cheaper Skipper. There's a lot of removal, a lot of healings. This is actually pretty good. Like we also like only talk about this as a finisher, but even without the finishing ability, like giving Elf Queen free evolve is always powerful. Like no matter when you do it, if you have no more evolve, you just play Elf Queen to this. And the fact that this also draws you a card means it doesn't actually reduce the damage that Elf Queen does. Like that's pretty powerful. Of course, if you have 6 Accelerate already done, you can do Elf Queen this, and then Storm Force 8. No, 6. While removing your bonus ward. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, might as well be the legendary card.
Might as well be the legendary card. And also it's pretty good with 11 as well, because that's potentially 14 damage burn just with 2 cards and 7 mana.
Yeah.
So yeah, very strong card. I'm excited to see how well this does in the future, and definitely one of the cards that can be very broken if Cygames decides to print something stupid. Like I can see an OTK, like an actual OTK, because Irene is only 18 damage. I can see an actual OTK that Cygames did by quote-unquote mistake. Alright, so let's continue to the next class. That is Swordcraft. And we have our daddy, Walfried, Sky Captain. Walfried, Sky Captain, yeah, daddy. It's Alessia's dad and our lore, I guess. Walfried, Sky Captain is a Swordcraft legendary commander. His effect is he can evolve for 0 evolution points. I feel like this is the first card we've seen that has this stacks without any requirement. He does only evolve into a 5/5, but has a very strong evolve effect, which is if all followers in your deck are officer followers, excluding Walfried Sky Captain, give those followers +2/+2. So it's a deck buff. And I guess we'll start with Light, because it's one of the strongest cards.
Yeah, so speaking of cards which make a completely new archetype, Yeah, Valfrid is like creating a completely new archetype with a deck full of offices. And yeah, as a Swordcraft main, I have obviously tried this card, and even though I was not hyped in the beginning, because these kind of effects tend to be not too powerful because they are only having late game potential. And yeah, I've seen some kind of builds before, but my favorite one so far is the one with Courtly Dance. So the theory is you buff up a lot of Valfrieds back to back to back, and then you have like very big quick bladers and samurais in your deck, set fast samurais, and then you can have like a big storm turn on turn 8 or later. And I personally don't think it's very strong, but if you can stay in the game until then, it's a pretty good card. Yeah, I think Valfried is a bit understated, even though his effect is good. I would have liked to see him having 6/6 stats, full stats on Evo, or at least have water or something. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the evolve effect is a little too restricting while it creates a new deck. In my opinion, the other commander followers sword has are way too good to not play them. As for the Warfree deck itself, I've seen some streams where it was used with the Storm concept. I would have liked to see some, for comparison, some lists with the Ambush concept, because I think the Ambush concept might work better than the Storm concept. But overall, I haven't played against it, so I don't have any practical experience. But I think it's a nice card to try something new. And if there are new good officer followers that, yeah, quote unquote, outclass the commander cards like Alyaska, Amelia, then this is obviously a really good card.
What about you, NtRoPiE?
Yeah, I think it being like kind of restrictive to your deck building makes this build around it, and I was also skeptical about it first because like all the commanders are very, very good right now that you get in the rotation format, and so I thought it had less impact, but to be fair, I've met it multiple times on rotation ladder already for apparent reasons and got stormed to death. Also, did you know that Diona is an officer? I got killed by Diona on turn 5 because Unsheathed Blade is a thing.
Oh, and who else?
Yeah, in UL. So it comes down with Unsheathed Blade and double attacks you for like crazy amounts of damage because Wolfred has buff there. Well, it suddenly
pretty
happened.
To do
Too
that,
slow.
it's on
Too
curve.
slow, yeah, but if
you-
it ever comes up.
You do need to have the Dion on the deck before, so you have to actually top deck the Dion after the Wolf return. So that was pretty unlucky.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
very
alright.
unlucky, but well.
Yeah, for me, like
go dramatic retreat.
for me, like Walfred is a like I agree with Light before the card's actually out. I was actually pretty down about this because I was thinking that maybe you played this in a very aggressive rally type decks. Well, if you read Walfred, it says all followers and not only all Swordcraft followers. So even neutral cards, like you can't actually play any neutral followers unless there's a neutral follower with officer, which I don't think will actually happen anytime in the future. But like the most important thing is that you can't actually play this with Vieran, which means that rally based Swordcraft deck isn't actually that good with Walfrid. But what people are actually doing right now in ladder is that you play this a bit more slow tempo game. Like you don't actually play aggressively early game. You just try to play a bit more control, and then you go Walfrid off your whole deck. And of course, like Light mentioned, using Courtly Dance and even cards like Andriette, because Courtly Dance does give you extra evolve. and I forgot the one called spell. What's it called? Something retreat.
Summons? Retreat.
Dramatic retreat.
So-
Dramatic retreat, which is pretty cool because one of the problem with Walfrid I thought it was that if you go first, it does mean that you are at turn 5 mana and you have to play 4 mana for Walfrid and have 1 mana for like I don't know maybe Quick Blader, which doesn't seem very good. But if you have Dramatic Retreat, you can retreat the Walfrid back, draw 2 buff cards immediately for your next turn. So it ended up not being like an aggressive deck, but more of a very slow late game, mid to late game board based deck, which yeah, you just try to draw a lot after the Walfrid, or maybe play a second Walfrid, and then have like cards that can potentially buff, and it's very strong after turn 8 and turn 9.
Yeah, if you have like infinite turns, this would be like a super strong deck, but you don't. And yeah, you have to deal with the opponent's board as well. And most of the time when I played Walfrid, the 5/5 stats were so bad, you mostly had like a double KO with another follower. And that would set you back quite a lot in tempo, and you cannot like freely face. You always have to remove the opponent's board with whatever you have, and that's why I don't think it's very strong. But many people like Swordcraft, so you see a lot of this on ladder.
Yeah, because not having the officer follower definitely means that you are missing some of the best removal for Swordcraft, Hot, Emilia, obviously Alaska, all those very good cards. So we'll see if this gets better in the future, because it'd be pretty interesting if we have more strong officer follower for Walfrid.
Yep.
I think it needs to like the good commanders needs to be outshined to be good enough for Walfrid to thrive. So
Or
if
just
you
rotate.
yeah, or rotate, but that's not gonna happen soon, so kinda have to hope for better officers, to be honest.
Wait, so what like is saying that Walfrid is gonna be good at the very very end expansion of 2021? Keep your Walfrid for next
That's-
year's contender, guys.
It's possible.
Oh man, this will age well. This will age well.
And then the game-breaking card is Reinhardt, and you still can't play Walfrid because they're in the same set.
Also not it's in
Not-
the same
Right,
set
not-
as
not.
well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess we'll continue on. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Nope.
Not really?
Nope.
Okay. Speaking of good officer, though, it's Radical Gunslinger. It's a Swordcraft Gold officer follower. It's a 1 mana 1/1. That's a pretty ass stats, but it has very strong effect. It has Bane. It's 1 mana 1/1 Bane, very good. And it has Funfair. Give your leader the following effect. Whenever an allied amulet comes into play, add 1 to your rally count. On Evolve, though, it also has extra effect of Evolve, deal 3 damage to an enemy follower, and summon a dutiful steed, which is the 1 mana amulet that buffs your follower when it comes to play. Gives it +1/+1. So it's synergized with itself. It's a 1 mana 1/1 Bane. The Funfair effect is pretty alright. It does come into play sometimes, I guess, if you play Outlaw as well. What do you think, like, as the Sword Master?
Yeah, so this card is like a very cheap removal option. It has like, yeah, an insane potential of removing a lot of things by itself. On Evo, dealing 3 damage, having the Bane body by itself, and yeah, it's like a very cheap removal option. You can also play it early game if you're like not playing against Runecraft, because we have like 3 kills on 1 health bodies. And yeah, I tried this in the normal Evo sword, and I liked it really much for turn 6 plays. Now, no. Before, I used to always automatically Evo Amelia when I had her, but now you actually have to see what you put. So if you have like 6 play points, play Emilia, you can play her and then evolve her instead. So that would be like a better tempo tempo play. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives an extra threat on the board. The 1/1 Bane that your opponent really needs to clear that, or else it's a free removal for the next turn.
Yeah. Another play is like you can just boot her up with the boots and then trade into things. This is also a nice removal. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of synergy with the current Evo Sword, more than I thought. I mean, when the first time I saw this card. Actually, you bring up a pretty good point on the chip removal. It reminds me of the old 1-mana 1/1 from Havencraft. Punishment Priest, I think is his name.
Oh,
1-mana
yeah.
1/1 with evolve, destroy a follower. It only it evolves status 1/1 1/1, but it has seen play competitively just because evolves destroy anything, and this is kind of similar.
Yes.
Juge, what do you think?
I haven't played against Sword. I have seen the Gunslinger being played in different winning lists. I think it's a good tempo play, like Light mentioned. Not too sure about the rally aspect of the card. With the only payoff being Firan, kinda questionable. I like that it's a 1/1 Bane, so it's a cheap removal, and the evolve effect is also valuable. But other than that, I can't really say much about the card. I think Light covered it pretty well.
It does
Yeah,
let you activate Thief, Noble Thief.
Yes, Thief earlier, and the new 3/3 one, the 3-drop that summons the
Outlaw Gunner.
Yeah, Outlaw Gunner.
Yes, that summons the vehicle to
Phalanx to like these cards that have been played in.
Yeah, you effectively you had a rally 2 with Phalanx on turn 2. Now you can also play the new neutral card that summons the steed. So you have better rally options, but I'm really not too high on those.
What was you about to say, NtRoPiE?
Yeah, I think it's on the first read, a 1-mana 1/1 Bane does something else and also gives you a good leader effect. Seems pretty good already, and I think if they want to push vehicles, it's the time to push it, right? Because Sword is the only like deck who couldn't profit off these vehicles that much, at least in rotation. So I think it being like so stacked on the effects allows it to like help the archetype that came out to thrive. Actually, also on going second, sometimes you don't have anything for turn 4, so you can pair this up with a Kagemitsu, which is really nice actually. So your opponent, if your opponent allows you to do that, and he definitely has to play something on his first ever turn, right? So you have the Gunslinger plus Kagemitsu coming up for his 5 to answer. I think it's really nice as well. So just a small thing, being a 1-mana, a 1 play point follower is actually very good to fill in some holes sometimes.
Yeah, lets you do the Alaska 1-drop play on 5 without feeling bad because usually your 1-drop is only Kagemitsu, but now you have this, so you can do the classic Licia turn 5 with Alaska this time around. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything, I guess. It's a pretty solid card. You did mention that it's a pretty good option to evolve on 4. Or actually doesn't have that much good option on 4. Usually only Ramiel, and if you don't draw Ramiel, it's kind of like feels bad. You have to evolve something because they don't run. Like most of them don't run Beastmaster anymore, so that's like one less good evolve effect. But with this, obviously, like healing 3 to kill a 3/3 and then trading into a 2-drop, it's very strong for 1-mana. Obviously, like if you trade a 2-drop into this into a 2-drop, it's gonna survive. And again, it's a Bane. so your opponent does have to clear it. Yeah, I think this is a very strong overall cards. Might be a staple in Swordcraft for quite
Yeah,
some.
I think it will have potential in the future.
Right, I guess that's it for Swordcraft. We'll move on to the next class, which is Rune. And Rune got some pretty interesting cards. This expansion in general, I guess. We'll start with the legendary Transcendent Simulacrum. She is a 2-mana 2/2 Runecraft legendary with the effect of Fanfare Enhance 5. Gain the ability to attack 2 times per turn. Evolve this follower. She can't be destroyed by effects, so she has that shield. And on evolve, she gained the extra effect of Strike. If there are more than 20 cards in your deck, banish cards from your deck until there are 20 cards left. Otherwise, put a Golem Summoning in your hand. And of course, Golem Summoning is the 2-cost spell that gives you the 3/3 Golem with Ward. And if you have 20 cards or less in your deck, evolve the Golem. So it's basically a 2-cost 5/5 if you already activate her once. Pretty cool card. I guess we'll mix it up a bit and start with Juge now.
I'm actually not too high on this card, but more because I don't like the random aspect of randomly banishing cards from my deck. Without, I think it was Project, the 2-spell that copied a card that rotated out. You actually only have the set amount of copies of your finishing cards, like Kuon and Rooney, and if you get unlucky, it's over. It's obviously a fringe case, but that can happen. And for spell boost, yeah, you want to activate your Fencer, you have to get your Fencer out of the deck, so because if you gut your Fencer, you lose all the value the card provides. Yeah, other than that, I've seen the card being played in more dirt-based builds that go heavy on the Golem Summoning to get a cheap True Coast 5/5 wards out. Double attack is also nice. Can't be destroyed by effects. Not when it counters Levin. If you play it as a 2-drop.
Counters
Other
the
than
previous
that-
card. But you can't kill it with Bane.
Right. So it's a 2-drop akin to Ramil, but I think it's for the staying power if you want to a solid 2-drop. But other than that, I'm really not too high on the card. Gotta be honest. Like if there's support for the Dread or less cards, Archetype and Rune, then yes, this card is really good. But like I said, I'm not really a fan of the random banish. I like to have at least that little bit of control in my deck. That's basically all I can say about it.
What about you, NtRoPiE?
I think this card in rotation right now, you go through your deck really fast anyway. Or if you don't go through your deck, you probably haven't drawn your winning conditions. So I also don't like it that much that you banish random cards. If you could maybe choose or something, it would be nicer, but unfortunately that's not the case. I think this card can only thrive in UL, where you can you want to activate your Fencers immediately anyway. So you try to turbo your deck and if you are below the 20 threshold, you just get the Golem Summonings for your D-Shift. So probably you just go D-Shift and this card, and it outright kills your opponent because it can attack twice if you just enhance it for 5. So maybe not the best card for rotation, but I think maybe finds its place because you want to turbo these chances out that fast anyway. And you usually don't care about the rest of the deck as long as you draw 1 copy of Shift and 2 Fencers. It usually kills your opponent anyway. So in my opinion, the rotation, if the impact that it has on rotation is also kind of limited by how fast you want to go through your deck without destroying all your win conditions early. So, for example, if you play it in Dirt and you attack once with it to get to 20 cards, but burn all your Dark Mages, which is mainly your win condition, it's also kinda iffy to do it. I can see where the golems come in clutch sometimes, because you have no options to ward and ruin aside from these golems. So against some more aggressive decks, you might struggle a bit. And if you already have like Fool, Linker, and Carol in your hand, maybe you can win off by stalling, getting those golems. It being not destroyed by card effects also helps keep board. So maybe something that wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you point out something that I missed, because I was at first I was like thinking like, why does this game has the ability to gain attack twice in a turn? I was like, I don't think it does anything, but because the evolved effect is strike, you can actually trigger both side of the effect with the double attack. So the first attack is gonna put your deck to 20, and then the second attack will get you column summoning in hand. So that's pretty cool, I guess. What about you, Light?
Yeah, this expansion, Rune, is actually the class which I have played the least, and so I cannot say too much about this. But yeah, I agree with the others that I don't like the RNG aspect of this card, that you're like banishing random cards from your deck. I think the best use of this card and rotation right now is to get to 20 cards fast, and then you can play like Fencer and Rooney Loop, because if you have like one Rooney, you have like infinite Roonies. But on the contrary, you also are limited in your deck size, right? You always draw a card when you play Rooney, and yeah, you cannot like loop it forever. And yeah, other than that, I think Juge mentioned most of it. So yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you get to 20 is kind of like a double-edged knife, because you do put yourself faster into deck out situation, and spell boost can deck out very, very quickly. It's actually kind of scary to just use the deck out. I can see like this card being pretty good in the future. Like, if the 20 card or less archetype that they seem to want to push with this card don't really rely on a single win con, because all of our discussions so far are about like how Rune has one win con in their archetype, and like removing that win con randomly feels bad. But if say the whole deck like has this 20 card or less power cards, like maybe we have more golem summoning cards, like cards that can give you golem summoning, and those are 2 mana 5/5 rush ward, like pretty cool. And because the golem summoning actually free evolve, maybe there's an evolve synergy. So maybe in the future, if side games print more cards to support this, it would be pretty cool. But right now, other than some fringe use and spell boost or dirt, like you guys mentioned, it's definitely a feels bad card for Rune. What's not feels bad though is the spell. Okay, it's actually kind of feels bad a bit, but it's a pretty okay spell.
Feels mean.
Feels meme, yeah, definitely. The Runecraft Gold, Pursuit of Truth. It's a 1-cost spell, yay, that has a very weird effect. If this card has been spell boosted at least 5 times, banish 2 random cards from your deck. Then, if it has been spell boosted at least 10 times, banish a random enemy follower. Then, if it has been spell boosted at least 20 times, summon 2 ultimate clay golem. If this card has been spell boosted at least 50 times, win the match. Okay, that's a lot of things. Oh god. Okay, Juge, what do you think?
Yeah, one play point spell that doesn't target, so you can just play it down. It's obviously really good for spell boost. Also, again, the banish two random cards from your deck. Like I said, I don't like the RNG aspect, but 2 is better than like half your deck. On the counter side, as the previous, or in contrary to the previous card, this also banishes 2 cards if you're below 20, which you most of the time will be if you keep the pursuit in hand for too long or after your Kuon turn. I like the second effect with the spell boost 10 the most, probably, because banishing a random enemy follower is really good. Doesn't let you target, which is unfortunate, but would be too strong if it lets you target, I think. The spell boost 20 effect gives you board for after your Kuon turn if you happen to not draw into your second Kuon or banish it with Pursuit. Yeah, you get board, you get 2 golems, you get a 5/5 and a 7/7, which is nice if you can close out the game with them. Not sure if you want that over Roonies, but it's a nice option. The 50 spell boost effect is a meme that I don't think will happen if you don't exactly manipulate it with your opponent in a fixed match. Yeah, I like the card. Best aspect, it's a 1 play point spell that doesn't have to target. It gives you random removal and maybe an additional option to close out the game with big bodies. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, this
Don't
being
have anything about that.
a 1-cost spell basically sums it up. Like, for the most part, when I played a bit with this, and well, you kind of want to play it before you spell boost it at all. Like, you just want to draw it and then you play it. Getting it to 10 and 20 spell boost does seems nice, but it is a 1-mana spell, and as a spell boost player, if you draw a 1-mana spell, you just want to play it. Oh, it's a 1-mana spell. I'm just playing. So keeping this card for like the extra spell boost effect doesn't actually happen that much. Maybe usually it happens after you played your Kuon. You want to play Kuon on curve, so you can actually keep this. And for the 10, the 5 spell boost effect is pretty much a drawback, basically. So like most of the time, you actually want to play this before you spell boost it 5 times, or else you'll be pretty sad because it randomly banish 2 cards. You want? I guess I'll let the other guys also add thing into the discussion. So NtRoPiE, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the 10 effect is the best effect out of all of these, because 20 spell boosts are already very hard to achieve, and 50 impossible. So if you happen to like have it after your Kuon Golems die or Shikigami's die, it's still fine to play it for like 10 boost max, but I wouldn't go that far and boost it up to 20 times or even trying to 50. So I think it's fine card to have, and spell boost always loves these 1-mana spells. So if there's anything else, spell boost ones is 1-mana cantrip instead, but you can't have everything at once.
6 insight and spell boost
6
rotation.
insight, 6 insight. Too good.
Well,
So
sorry.
No.
no, just go ahead.
Yeah.
The counter argument to the 1 play point cantrip is that you lose a card so you can get more Roonies and don't have to burn Roonies in the end. So I think that's an upside as well. Just throwing that in there.
And that is true. You actually do want. This does actually let you dump your hand very fast if you have Roonies already in hand. Like, anything to add?
Yeah, I personally think this is just an opportunity card, as you said. Like, if you have it early and it's not spell boosted, you play it anyways, just for the spell boost. And if you happen to have it in the late game with a few spell boosts, then you can have like a very good, efficient card, which does quite a lot. And yeah, the 50 times win the match spell boost thing is for me also meme and not happening unless you don't want to win. I don't know.
Because even if you get the best case scenario and boost this 3 times with 3 Fencer, that will still be 50 spell boost, and you actually need to spell boost this like 35 more times. That's pretty easy.
Maybe you can play it with the Witch card and Unlimited, and even then I think...
Hey, Ryo
happening.
into unbodied bitch.
Like, even in Unlimited, you have Mission Project to keep copying your Crystal Fencer, but you would still need like 10 Crystal Fencer to get this to 50. That's crazy. And like
It's not gonna happen.
normally
Or you
speaking,
can on Unlimited, you can just win the match with spell with 20 D shift.
Yeah,
Hey, you can D-shift the turn and then win off the card, right?
you just have to
After
spell
attacking
boost 20
twice
times
with
for that.
unbounded.
Less sometimes, not even 50. Why even bother going for 50 if we win at 20? Yeah, very cool card. Actually, like one last thing to add. Maybe if there's a very strong control deck that you can't kill with spell boost, like maybe Sanctuary Haven, like you can't actually kill them because they have so many healing. Like maybe you actually keep this for the 50, but even so, like that's a very long road you are walking there.
I'm
Very
pretty
long.
sure you're decking out before that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
If you
try
play
to
one
kill
spell a
the
turn,
golems
it's already
and
over.
trade.
All right, let's move on to Dragoncraft. Dragoncraft gets pretty cool cards. Well, they got one cool cards and one very weird cards. But spoilers aside,
That's too cool cards.
well, depends.
But
on
let's
you.
get one cool card and it's not a legendary.
Anyway, Georgius. It's a 4-mana 4/4 Dragoncraft legendary. Evolves into a 6/6, so full stat. With the effect of Funfair, give your leader the following effect. Play point orbs can't be lost. It's not stackable unless for the rest of the match. And Funfair, if Overflow is active for you, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, then 2 damage to an enemy leader. If you have 10 play point orbs, deal 4 damage instead. And on Evolve, it has the effect of destroy all enemy follower with 3 defense or less. So Kiaru's Evolve effect with full stat. Mind you. I actually see a bit of a pattern in this mini expansion of giving kind of like a side bonus effect of leader effect. Usually we saw very strong leader effect that kind of wins you the game in like previous expansion. But with the Gunslinger and Georgius, like the leader effect is kind of side plus instead of the main thing, which is pretty cool. Well, we'll start with NtRoPiE right now because he does say that Dragon gets 2 cool cards, so maybe that's
Well, Georges is one of the cool cards for rotation and also good for UL because the risk is a thing. And the bonus of not losing play points is kind of good. You can just drop your Dark Prison Dragons in early game and not like being worried to not get to 10 early. So it's also a nice side effect. But the effect of dealing 2 damage on Fanfare and then like 4 damage in late game, or like mid game for Dragon, but late game for other decks, right? It's also good. Gives you more reach. The on Evo removal is also very good that you don't deal damage, so it deals with Ramiel and like Aliaska maybe as well, which Dragon has kind of struggled to remove because Aliaska is a 6/6 and you can't ping it with the discard effects, so it was very hard. You can only Plesiosaurus and Evo over the Aliaska and hope they don't have a ward or that you ping the ward with the random effect first. And it has so much conditions to actually remove an Aliaska that is 6/6 that I think Georgius might have it out a bit if it's lower HP. So, for example, the Alaska traded into something and then you use the Evolve effect. Also, you can combo the Fanfare effect to deal 2 damage and then it potentially board wipe your opponent, which is very good as well. Dragon usually has not that great board clear in early game, and Georges giving Dragon board clear for early game is very good. So yeah, there's the second option to evolve something if you don't want to like have a roost or don't have your Plesiosaurus or didn't ramp into the first evo. So I think this is overall a very good card and will definitely see play going forward.
What about you, like?
Yeah, I actually have played some Disco Dragon on ladder to some success, and I've tried 3 and 2 copies of Georgios, and It's actually pretty decent, but I wouldn't say it's a staple. It's like, as NtRoPiE said, additional reach, and you can like clear the board in the mid game, and also have like a good removal option against those stupid early game boards, for example, against Rally Portal, that you can otherwise not answer usually. And yeah, for Dragoncraft, I think this card is not stable because how scarce Evo points are for this class, because you cannot afford to Evo too often. And yeah, and for 4 play points, removing stuff is not as efficient as like discarding cards from your hand and dealing ping damage and 2 damage. So I think it's a good card, but not a staple or super broken.
NtRoPiE, Juge.
It's a solid card. The first time I saw it, I thought about it as like an aggro stop card, because I personally have played a lot of aggro decks in playing them in rotation into Dragon that are not specifically discard Dragon. Felt really good for the aggro player. Now you can have a good card to answer aggro boards. Other than that, though, I don't have that much experience. Like the fanfare, the leader effect is nice, but affects only 2 cards in rotation, I think, with Dark Prison and War. So it's a nice bonus, but nothing that is like a selling point for the card, I think. The fanfare, the overflow fanfare effect is, like I said, I saw it more as an aggro stopper than like a real finishing option, because you deal leader damage. I have seen comments about this being added to Natural Dragon, like the Naturalist with the Big 10 Ramp Dragon. And that it replaces Boom Devil, but Boom Devil in that deck is, I think, still better because you can actually fuse it. Yeah, that's about everything I can say about the card. I haven't faced it yet, so no practical experience again.
Yeah, for me, like this card, like the thing that I like the most about this card is that it's a overall solid card, which is pretty rare for Dragon to get an overall solid legendary. Usually their legendary are either a win con, like very broken win con like Faldane or DDD, or very clunky cards like Reggie or Rolla. Like it's usually somewhere in those area and never in between. And to see Dragon gets like a very solid mid-range-ish card with a lot of values. Like this card scales well into late game because of the overflow and 10 mana effect, but it's also very good on curve. Like NtRoPiE mentioned, the evolve effect you can use it going second even if you ramp 0 times, and like having an option to not die to aggro when you don't ram is actually pretty good for Dragon. I'm actually a bit more like I would agree more to NtRoPiE side. Like this card seems like a solid card that can support Dragon in the future, because it's a card that actually helps you when you're at the lowest point as a Dragoncraft, which is when you don't ram at all, going second for even. So yeah, overall solid card. Not much to say other than that. The other card that Dragon is getting though is a pretty funny card, I guess. Encounter from the Deep, Dragoncraft Gold. It's a 3-cost spell with the effect: reveal a random Dragoncraft follower from your deck and put it into your hand. Deal X damage to a random enemy follower. X equals to the original cost of the followers added to your hand. If X is between 7 and 9, give the added follower rush. If X is 10 or more, give it Storm. So again, we'll start with NtRoPiE because he seems very excited with this card.
Yeah, I'm more excited for unlimited plays of this card, because Dagon, the card on the card itself, the thing on the card itself is a pretty quick follower. Can attack the opponent's face for 30 damage. Who doesn't like that? Can also play two of them in Roost. So storming 6 times is also an option against like Control Blood. And yeah, in rotation I don't think it's that good because you don't want to play like only neutrals and only spells, which is the main downside of the card. Because you really feel sad if you pull a Dragon Follower that's not a big card and you can't play an early game. So it doesn't get Storm or Rush, and it deals decent damage depending on the cost, right? So if Wizard Rowan is becoming a thing, maybe Encounter sees the play, but I don't see it yet because there's no win condition like Dagon, which single-handedly win you the game on turn 6 if you attack the face 3 times after Roost. So yeah, I think this card is great for UL, but not so good for rotation.
What about you, Light?
Yeah, this card is like also a win con by itself. Like every card which gives Storm are like a win con. And yeah, in UL it's obviously very bonkers because of Dagon. But rotation, you yet have to find a deck which can utilize this card well without RNGing into the card. But just rating the card by itself, it's very good. It's like worst case a removal, which also doesn't minus. So yeah, I think it's a very good card.
Yeah, it's removal and cycle at the same time. Anything to add, Juge?
Yeah, that's basically all I can say as well. Unlimited, the card is really good, not gonna lie. In rotation, you have like 2 10 target followers with DDD and Justice. Justice getting Storm 50% of the time by itself. Yeah, other than that, now it's 100% if you hit Justice. But you can't play just Justice and neutral follower. I don't think that's a deck that would work. But other than that, yeah, it's a cycle and removal in 1 card, which is pretty cost efficient. So it's a good card. Better than Unlimited because you have better targets. But who knows what Cygames is gonna give us in the next couple expansions.
There's actually like less RNG on this card. I can see this card being pretty okay in rotation. Like maybe limit the card that you tutor to 5 costs or less. Obviously limiting it to 7 costs or more. Not 5 costs or more, not less. Obviously limiting it to 7 costs or more would make it too powerful. But yeah, in rotation you still have to play 2 cost followers. Obviously if you're playing Roost, you have to play the Roost-chan herself. She forgot her name. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like yeah, pretty cool card. Unlimited rotation, maybe not. So we're done with Dragon now. Let's move on to the next class, Shadowcraft, who doesn't actually get that much, but still some pretty cool cards. Pretty cool waifu, definitely. We'll start with the waifu. Isis, Shadowcraft Legendary. She's a 6 mana 4/4, full stat on evolve, 6/6. Has Accelerate 3, Reanimate 3. If you have more evolution points than your opponent, Reanimate 5 instead. And she has Ward, Funfair, give -1/-4 to all other followers. This includes your and your opponent's follower, like everything other than her. And on evolve, give +1/+4 to all other allied followers. We'll start with Juge actually this time.
So personally, I like the nuke. It's a board nuke. I can't like counter times at the start of the expansion when I wanted to have a Hades just for the AoE 3 damage to get rid of Wardhaven boards. So the board wipe is nice. Affects your own board, which is kind of yikes. So you can't just tag it in aggro decks and get rid of enemy wards and just go face. The accelerate effect is okay. Again, I don't think it helps aggro shadow that much. Even if accelerate 3 gets you the grudge teller and currently Helio. I think Helio is rotating though, so For next set, that's also out of the question. The Reanimate 5 is also nice to get maybe an earlier Meteor, depending on how you rewrite it during your early turns. Yeah, and the Evolve effect, I don't think it's that good on 6. Like, you will have it later when you have a board that can survive the fanfare effect, or if either stays on board and you can play a board after the wipe. Because I generally don't think a lot of boards will survive a neg 4 health. So it's a nice board wipe, but other than that, I don't think it's that useful.
Yeah, using her as a board wipe is definitely like the main way I can see this being used. Light, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this card is a nice addition if you want to play it in the Neftis deck, because you have an additional good 6-drop which can control the board. As said, it's like a very potent turn 6 board wipe. Its Evo effect is also not to be underestimated, because you have to remove her. If she sticks on board, you can make a ridiculous board the turn after. And so far, for the Accelerate effect, there are not many good 5-drops which can profit out of it. But in the future, if there's like a super broken 5-drop which would break the game on turn 4 or something, then you might use the Accelerate as well.
Yeah, True. Anything to add?
Well, I see it the same way as the others. I think the bot nuke is something that Shadow needed. Kinda good that it's not damaged against like Ramiel, which we will have for a long time now.
Yeah, 1 year.
And going forward, if there's a 5-drop that's worth to get out on 4, definitely will be used as an Accelerate. So right now it's basically waiting for the other cards to show up that make really worth it. And I think it's basically it, right? It's overall a good card, and you can get more tools out of it later.
Yeah, it's an overall a very good control deck in Shadowcraft, but a control card in Shadowcraft, but we don't see that Shadowcraft being that much of a control. It's more of a mid-range tempo-ish deck primarily. So maybe not now, but I can see like this card being super annoying to play against definitely in the future. 4 damage AoE is usually the sweet spot in Shadowverse. It's one of the reasons why Unvolt is so strong. And yeah, like you mentioned, it bypass some of the can't be damaged by effect. Who knows? Maybe in the future there's going to be cards that has stats can't be changed or something like stupid like that. But that's still in the future. So let's speed things up a bit because we actually don't have that much time left. Shadowcraft Gold, 9 cost 5/5, Philosopher of Death. He has Crystallized 1, Countdown 3. During your turn, whenever an allied follower is summoned with Reanimate, give it the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points. The main body has Sword and Funfair. Summon a Philosopher of Death. At the end of your turn, summon a Philosopher of Death. And doesn't have Evolve effect. Light.
Okay. First off, what was the name of the other 9-drop gold which destroys 2 followers? Yes, Deathbringer. So this card is like competing with Deathbringer in most deck slots, and it's really dependent on your deck which one is better. But maybe let's say in Unlimited, in Atomy deck, I personally think this card is slightly better than Deathbringer because it has Crystallized 1, so it can count as a 1-drop damage. And also when this card is popping out of the coffin, you have like immediately 2 bodies with wards which can generate more bodies at the end of each turn. So you can snowball very early with this card in UL. In rotation, this card should be seen a bit more rarely because it's not a very strong card by itself, cannot be played early. And you mostly will probably use it for its Crystallized effect if you really want to play it, so you can have free evos on your Fatal Order, so have the Perditions, whatever.
Juge, you have something to say about this card?
Yeah, for Unlimited, like Light mentioned, it's nice for Atomy in rotation. I personally think it's not that useful. Like, Fatal Order gives you 2 wards for the next turn with 1 staying on board, which is obviously nice, but I think Deathbringer is still better. For the Crystallize effect, Crystallize Run is nice. 3 Evos are always good. So with Milteo and what's the 2.2 cost spell called?
Grave Digger?
Forced Resurrection. Forced Resurrection.
Rest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So you can combo with that to get nice cheap Evos out. But other than that, I'm not too high on the card itself. My biggest problem though with the card is also that as an aggro player speaking, you need the board space for stuff like Necro Impulse, and having the 1 amulet, if you didn't drop it early, clogging up your board is also really uncomfortable. And I don't think we have actually that much reanimate support anyways. With
Not
the
cheap
biggest, not cheap one, and the biggest target for reanimate currently that will rotate is Jiangxi, which auto evos anyways. So yeah, not too high on the card, gonna be honest.
Anything to add, NtRoPiE?
Well, I also see it being not that useful because it is 9 cost. If it was maybe 8 cost, it would be better. In Atomy decks, it's kinda iffy because it has fanfare. Your Princess Knight will not guarantee your the Atomy, so that's also
Yes.
kinda hard to say. But it's also 1 cost amulet. I've tried 1 copy right now. It seems alright, I guess. But not guaranteeing the Atomy is kinda iffy.
Yeah, more of a UL card than a rotation card. Maybe not nowhere in the future. Would be pretty better if it gives automatically evolve instead of giving free evolve. But sadly, that's not the case. So
Yeah, I think that would be too strong. Like a Milteo just pulling out 2 rush follower.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
So-
think that would be way too good.
pretty weak card overall. But Shadow has been pretty good this expansion, so doesn't really hurt them that much. Next, though, we have one of the strongest card. A lot of people opinion in Bloodcraft. Yeah, we're moving on to Bloodcraft now. Bloodcraft's legendary is an 11 cost 11/11 Blood Soak Archdemon. Oh my god, this is long effect. So Blood Soak Archdemon. When this card is added to your hand from your deck, subtract X from its cost. X equals twice the number of times you've played a Blood Soak Archdemon using its Accelerate effect. Accelerate 1, draw a card, put a Blood Soaked Archdemon into your deck, and the main body himself has Rush. And after clashing with an enemy follower, if this follower is not destroyed, fully restore its defense and deal 5 damage to the enemy leader. Oh my god. NtRoPiE, I think I heard you really like this card. What's it like?
No, you can-
Yeah.
Let's start with NtRoPiE, I guess.
Okay. So I think this card is great, and both like the decks it could be played in. Like Baal, it's inside with upside. So sometimes drawing into it doesn't hurt you that much. It activates your average Stormers, the Hell Spear. And overall in control it gives you another like control tool. Also cycles a bit through your deck because the Archdemon is added after it draws. So you get to replace 1 card. It's not that bad. So it also spawned a new archetype in UL, being Archdemon Turbo. Turn 5 Archdemon seems also pretty good to me. Yeah, this card is insanely strong because it is an 11/11 rush. So if you get it, you just trade into something, it's still 11/11. Your opponent needs to deal with it, otherwise he's getting more damage. it automatically deals 5 to the enemy face already. So if you follow up with Garnet Walls, I think 2 Garnet Walls are enough if your opponent doesn't heal, so he has to answer this immediately, or else it's kinda strong.
What about you, like?
Yeah, this card is very strong. I have tried it out so far in 2 decks. The first one is like Volteo. If you like get it out of Volteo, it's super strong because it also has Ward. But yeah, it's also like a decent early game card as you can play it for just inside effect, not bad. And yeah, the second deck is obviously Baal. This card is a staple in Baal now, as yeah, drawing 1 card is very strong. And now you have like an additional finisher, I would say. It's like an additional finisher. And literally you cannot lose from deck out if your opponent is like out healing you, because you have like 3 demons with 11/11 who can threaten to do lethal by themselves. And yeah, it's very strong card in Baal for sure. And one thing I learned newly on ladder is when I mulligan, I used to toss it away, but as it actually gives you an upside for playing it turn 1 and you don't have another good turn 1 play anyways, you should keep it in your early hand, I think. So yeah, going forward, I will do this.
Right, lastly, Juge.
I'm just gonna say it. I think it's the best card in the mini, and it's not even close. It's worst case, it's inside with upside, like NtRoPiE mentioned. The effect stacks, like you don't have to draw the blood-soaked Arcdemon, you accelerate it, you can draw any copy to get a reduced effect. The full heal is with Clash, so your opponent can just yeet stuff into it, like with Murius back in the day. So I just think this card is really good, and I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nerfed in any way, because it slots also in every blood deck you can play. Like with Volteo, you have a card draw that puts itself into the deck to get pulled out with Volteo. With Baal, it's obvious that you can just ping 1 for 1 draw. You can play it on like odd turns where you have a play point to spare in Baal, like you want to Evo Corruption on 4, you have 1 play point, you get a ping immediately. You have 1 more option now. You had once costs Natura spell, Madness I think it's called. So
Yeah, Madness.
like it's overall it's just really good. Like, and the artwork as well is pretty nice. Just gonna throw that out.
Very strong, very cool artwork.
So yeah, I'm like I said, I think it's the strongest card in this mini expansion, and it's not close.
Yeah, you guys pretty much covered everything about it. So let's move on to the next card, which isn't that exciting. It's Bloodthroat Epitaph. It's a 4-cost Bloodcraft Gold Amulet. Finally gets an amulet. In this mini expansion has been gold spell all the way. So it has countdown 3, funfair. If you have more evolution points than your opponent, recover 2 play points. We saw this in Holy Sanctuary. And while this amulet is in play, Vengeance, Avarice, and Wrath are active for you. So activating every single Bloodcraft keyword, which, you know, at this point they actually have 3 keywords. How far would it be until it's too much? Well, we start with NtRoPiE before, right? So I guess we'll start with Juge.
So when this card was revealed, I was really high on it because activating all of your conditions and in going second, recovering 2 play points seemed really good for me. But NtRoPiE pointed out when we talked about it that it's too slow, and yeah, considering that the cards you get upside for aren't actually that impactful early game, I have to agree the card is too slow. And yeah, that's basically all I can say about it. It's too slow for the upsides it gives you. And going first, it's even slower, so not really worth it.
What about you, like?
Yeah, I keep myself short about this card. So in rotation, there are no cards good enough to justify playing it, I think. And in UL, in Unlimited, this card is way too slow. So yeah, I think it has potential if the right cards are released, but for now, I don't see it being used at all.
What about you, NtRoPiE?
Yeah, the biggest issue of this card is the 4 cost, of course. If it was cheaper, maybe it would be seeing play, but I can't see it being good, except if your opponent plays Roost and then you drop it on more Ava points. But aside from that scenario, I don't see it being good enough right now, because it is 4 cost. We have seen a similar card in old expansions already, with Blood Moon, and that wasn't good as well. Except when it came out of the followers that spawned the Blood Moon immediately. So yeah, a do nothing card, especially going first, you can never drop it. Never really drop it because it costs 4. So kind of hard to pair it with another card. So that's why I think it's too slow and will probably not see play at all.
Yeah, the fact that this has calmed down is also pretty bad. This doesn't stick forever, so you have some time limit before you can do it. But who knows? Maybe in the future they'll print a legendary card with Vengeance, Avarice, and Wrath in the same card. All 3 decks.
Exodia.
Maybe like that will happen. But for now,
Oh boy, have 7 keywords, and it's all the sins. Let's go for it.
Oh my god, would be pain to read the card. Yeah, that's about it for Bloodcraft. One strong card, one meh card. Next up is Heavencraft with Lethal Almirage. It's a 5 mana 5/3. The reverse stat from all the other Almirage. Usually it's a 3/5. Now it's a 5/3. Heavencraft legendary full stat on evolve 7/5 with the effect of Rush. Fanfare, if at least 2 allied amulets are in play, gain +3/+0, and the following effect. The next time this follower takes damage, reduce that damage to 0. Follower Strike, deal X damage to another random enemy follower. If no other enemy follower are in play, deal X damage to the enemy leader instead. X equals to the attack of the follower minus the defense of the targeted follower. So Mega Lance from Forestcraft, but now it's in Haven instead. Light.
Yeah, Pecora is a very strong card. It by itself, it can be like a double removal, or you can have like a removal and storm with 1 attack. And yeah, her fanfare effect with the amulets is like almost too easy to achieve. And yeah, it's definitely a super strong card with burst damage and removal and 1 card. And yeah, you will see it being played in a lot of Haven decks going forward.
NtRoPiE, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this card is especially good if your opponent only has 1 follower with low defense. Goes all to the face, right? Yeah, aside from that, having Rush and being an 8/3 if you have 2 amulets is also a very good stat. Gaining the shield is also an upside, so it doesn't die by trading into something. So it definitely will see further play going forward. Yeah.
Juge, you have anything to add?
Not really. Everything got mentioned. You will see it in a lot of decks. Sanctuary Haven. I have already seen it in Sanctuary Haven being tagged. So don't be surprised to get rushed by her and get faced.
The fact that this also comes out from Garuda is also pretty strong. I see that being played in ladder. Yeah, overall a very strong Havencraft card. You know, like they don't need more strong Haven cards in this expansion. But yeah, the next card is Paladin of Clemency. He's a 2-cost 1/3, evolve into a 3/5 with the effect of Funfair. Restore 1 defense to your leader. Hands 5. Summon Iron Maiden, draw a card. and evolve through a card. The Iron Maiden itself is a 4-cost countdown to Amulet. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a random enemy follower. It can't attack next turn. It's a very old card. NtRoPiE. What do you think about this
Well,
card?
Well, I think the 2 mana heal 1 is already good for Sanctuary, because it pairs well going second with your Sanctuary itself, so you can immediately heal 1 and then draw a card on Evo. So you can remove 2 things on going second turn 4, which is already good enough, if you ask me. The upside of having the Iron Maiden stalling for you in Sanctuary Haven is also good. Also, blocking 1 board space might become relevant at some point. So I could see it being played for going forward. Also have seen Manifest on Iron Maidens and then have 5 of them and board lock your opponent. That's also a fun thing to see. Yeah, I like the card overall. The design is also very good. So you have a restore 1 defense on the Fanfare and Evo draw a card. Is almost as valuable as the all the other cantrip healing cards that you play normally already. So it being an additional card that can heal you is good enough, I think.
It's another 2-cost heal. And it doesn't have what requirement unlike the 2-cost 2/2 or Feather Folk guy. Juge, you have anything to add?
I think this card enables regular control haven without Sanctuary, because you have an additional control tool on 5. I'm not really a fan of it in Sanctuary Haven itself as a 5-drop, so with the enhance effect, because you will board lock yourself and you need a board space for the Tigers, and not getting value out of Tigers is pretty bad. With that being said, I can see it being played in Sanctuary Haven as well after the so when Rotten Conflict rotates and you have enough deck space once the natural package goes. Other than that, I like the card. It's a solid card, but currently I wouldn't play it in Sanctuary Haven.
How about you, like?
I kind of disagree, because I think this card is made for Sanctuary Havens, because you have like an additional heal, and it's by itself not a bad card. On turn 5 you can play it to also draw a card, and on Evo you can draw another card, so you don't run out of fuel too fast when you like fuse cards into your Justine. And yeah, but at first when I saw this card I was very disappointed and I thought it was very weak, but I played against it and it was not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, the Iron Maiden itself is only a countdown too, so you actually don't board lock yourself that long. Only 1 turn technically. After you play this, the next turn you have Iron Maiden still, and then the next turn it's already popped, so it doesn't stay that long for it to be that troublesome. Okay, it's an overall pretty cool card. Next up we have Portal Craft, the last class. We do have 1 neutral gold, like always. Portal, new legendary. Sylvia, Grand Arbiter. She's a 4-mana 4/4 that doesn't gain any stat on evolve, but she has War. And Funfair, if Resonance is active for you, evolve this Waller and recover 2 play points. Very short text, which is pretty good for me because I've been reading a lot of text today. Okay, Juge.
I think it's a solid card. It's not broken. It's not bad. You can slot it in Portal decks. I have seen it in Rally Portal. It's a nice option. Yeah, nothing more to say because.
Yeah,
short
very,
text.
very short text. How about you, like?
I saw a funny meme on the internet from this card. So there's like this guy who is not sure if he sees correctly, and then he looks like, oh, it's actually Honest Thief. So yeah, that basically
with 3 more
sums it up.
health and ward.
Yeah, it's like nothing special. It has no particular effects. It's just like 2 mana evoed ward. You can play Ames on it, which I saw people do, but when you play Ames, you get ward anyway, so yeah, not too special in my opinion.
What about you, NtRoPiE?
I think the free Evo is a good thing for Portal because usually Portal likes to use up their Evo points very frequently with other cards. So having an additional Evo card that Evos itself is not that bad. But the problem here is being Portal doesn't really have payoffs for Evoing, except for it being a rush follower. So
math.
also kind of split on this, and also because the text is so short. Not sure how I feel about it. It might be good if you want to float play points into the next turn, but going forward, I think it's just too normal in comparison to all the other cuts that we have seen so far.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising to see a legendary with this short amount of text. I actually thought at first this is not like they had their wrong translation. Like this is too short for legendary in 2020. But no,
Yeah, could be a basic cut.
could be a bronze card because you compare it to Thief, basically the same card. But yeah, I think overall, she's a solid card that, you know, if Portal doesn't just go back to playing Artifact again, she might see play in a lot of, I guess, rally based or mid range based Portal. So overall, a good card. Next one is also another solid card, I guess. Committed Conductor is a 8 mana 3/7. Evolve into a 5/9. A lot of stats. With Accelerate 3, summon a Bullet Bike, put a puppet into your hand, and the main body has Ward and Funfair recover 7 play points. So if you play it, it's actually only a 1 mana 3/7. Trophy. What do you think?
I think this card is alright. In the rally portal that we are seeing right now, there are not that many good drivers for the train. This being actually a one-cost driver could be very good. But the downside is like you have to play it on 8 or later. So if by any chance you play like your
Ice Chill.
ice on 7 or something, or you can invoke it on 7, which is a total high roll, by the way. I've never seen it coming out on 7. Maybe it's gonna be possible later if we get more puppet support. But also the accelerate on for free is very decent because you get a puppet and then the puppet can take the bike to immediately trade. So it's also okay. Where this card is really shining is when you play against Roost, right? It costs 4 and recovers 7. Feels like Shadow. Mini Grammary.
Feels grammarly, man.
Aside from that, I think there's nothing too special about the card right now. Maybe going forward we will get more. And Portal seems to be the only class in this mini to get like more ordinary effects. So maybe it's preparation for what's coming up next.
Oh, please no.
Hopefully. Juge, what do you think?
I don't really have anything to add. Would be nice if it's instead of a bike, it would be the carrier, so you can combo it with Ilgano. Other than that, yeah, pretty vanilla. Nothing really to say about it.
I think it combos with Ilgano well because you don't have to Evo to trade with Ilgano. So
yeah, with the carrier was the
right.
thinking that you get a 3 defense, so you can get Triced earlier.
So you can activate Elgano earlier. Lastly, Light, anything to add?
Yeah, I see this card competing in Rally Portal with Worlds Spot. And in the beginning, I saw more people playing this card, but I think lately World is now taking over the spot because the card by itself is not very impactful. It's like, as NtRoPiE said, just a efficient driver for the train, for the Magi train. And on Accelerate Free, it's just like a free damage removal, which is not too impactful in my opinion. It also is not synergizing with any storms because it's cost 8. For example, if you play like Accelerate, you cannot play a Radiant artifact to back it up. So yeah, there's like missing synergy, I think.
Yeah, the fact that you can accelerate 3 into Radiant on 8 cost 8. Like the most you can do is accelerate 3 into Ilgano's spell 7, but then you have to put yourself at 7 mana, which kind of annoying to do if you don't have the exact cards. Overall, pretty solid card. I do see this in Rally Portal sometimes, but people have been cutting it down, so pretty sad for our conductor right here. Meanwhile, lastly, what I think one of the strongest card is the neutral gold Goblin Queen. 3 mana 3/3, evolves into a 5/5. Funfair, put 2 goblins in your hand, evolve, transform an allied goblin into a Goblin King. Wow, we're finishing this review with very short text cards. I'm very happy. I'm actually running out of breath right now, so I guess Light, you can start with this one.
Yeah, so Goblin Queen is like shouting, I'm tempo and efficient and great. So the best use I've seen this card on ladder so far is in Rally Portal, because it's kind of generating more cards in your hand with the goblins, so you can Kaiser for more cards, which is a plus. And also it's a good on turn 3 tempo play, and on 4, usually you don't have many good Evo targets, but this card can generate 2 5/5s on board on turn 4, which is super, super big. So yeah, it's a very good card going forward, and yeah, very decent.
Juge, you have anything to add?
Not really. I've also seen it in Ready Portal, and it's a good take 2 and open 6 card. Gonna add that. Other than that, Light covered everything.
What about you, NtRoPiE?
Yeah, it being a very simple effect threw me off a bit first, but after like playing against it, it being 4 cost, 10/10 stats with 1 ward, it's very good, I'd say. There are not that many decks that can stop it being tempoed out. And also sometimes just dropping it on 3 and then follow up with something else on 4, or get it to survive and then evo afterwards is also very, very slow. So I think this is a good card going forward.
Yeah, an overall solid neutral card, which is actually kind of surprising to me. Like, I feel like this card has so much power despite being neutral. Usually neutral gold isn't actually like that strong. It's either like an anti-meta card or beef cleaver, which is kind of weird. But no, we actually have a pretty strong card that I can see being played a lot in decks that actually wants this type of effect. Mainly rally deck, especially since Fioran is also around until at the end of next year. So yeah, that should be it for mini expansion. And before we wrap up, I kind of want to hear you guys' opinion, like general opinion, to finish this up. And I guess we'll start with Light again and get a whole circle.
So like a summary of the whole expansion, you mean?
Yeah. Including mini, obviously.
Yeah, I think this mini expansion was very good for diversity, because there were like a lot of new deck archetypes introduced, which is always good after a stale expansion before. And I think the meta recently is quite diverse, because almost all decks are represented with at least one good deck. So yeah, I can just remember like old formats where there were only 1 or 2 good decks played.
Uprooted.
Yeah, num dot deck. But yeah, I think this mini expansion is very nice. Gives a lot of fresh air into the meta, and yeah, we will have fun with it at least for 1 more month.
What about you, Juge? You enjoying it?
I really like it. Like at the start of the expansion, I didn't enjoy the meta too much. Not that much diversity. After the nerfs, it got better, and I think the mini is completely now more or less completely changing it. I mean, really Portal is still on top, but other classes all getting good cards for different decks. It's really nice. So I'm really looking forward to the next month of playing rotation.
Right, lastly, NtRoPiE.
Yeah, I haven't liked the Wardhaven meta that was predominantly before. So I really like that the mini shaked up the meta for quite a bit. So glad that I can enjoy rotation again, right? Also for UL, kind of new interesting decks get introduced with Turbo Archdemon and Turbo Dagon being two options now. Very fun to see these decks. So overall, I really like the card. Even though they didn't seem to have much impact when they got revealed, at least from my standpoint, they are still very impactful, actually. I thought maybe 1 or 2 cards were really played, but it spawned a lot of new decks. People got creative, and I like that the meta has shifted from the same 3 decks or 4 decks over and over again.
Yeah, I guess for me, the Storm of Rivayle expansion has been a pretty wild ride. There's a lot of meta shift, and obviously after the nerf, the meta has been trying to be a bit more diverse, and this mini expansion is like the final nail on the coffin, and we actually do see a diverse meta. So much that I feel like I wish some of these cards are printed in the main expansion instead, because the main expansion was really bad compared to the mini. And I do like the extra direction, like what NtRoPiE mentioned, of just very simple cards, but actually being pretty powerful when you play it. Like, I feel like Shadowverse recently has so much effect on a single card, but when you actually play the card, it's actually kind of meh. Looking at you, Vincent, and like Mazer, like all of those cards with like extra so many long texts, but when you play it, it's actually very clunky. So seeing cards like Sylvia and Goblin Queen actually makes me feels a bit better. But yeah, that should wrap it up for our mini expansion review. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are a very good additional to our team, and we really appreciate it. Before we go though, I want to mention that in half an hour, there's going to be a stream match between our Japanese team, Mana Search Fairwind, against NTD, which I believe is a Taiwanese team. There's some names that you might recognize, including Sasa Mumu, our world champion from last year, and Nozoeli, another very strong player. So if you guys want to watch that, it's gonna be in half an hour. I'm definitely gonna be watching that because that seems very, very, very fun. But yeah, that should be it for this episode 11 of my Search Talk. It has been a very long episode. I actually didn't realize that it's already been 2 hours, and I guess we all are pretty exhausted. Thank you guys for watching, and I guess you guys can plug in, yeah, like your Twitter and stuff before we go. We'll start with Light again.
Oh yeah, you can follow me on Twitter under my tag light_ACG.
Juge?
Yeah, I'm also active on Twitter under @xUgeX. The X's are, there were no underscores available for the name when I created it, so don't ask why.
And lastly, NtRoPiE.
Yeah, my Twitter handle is actually different from my usual name, so it's NtRoPiE from my old StarCraft days. I still kept the name, and I will also be streaming 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. 8:30ish p.m. CET every weekday. So if you want to hit me up on Twitch, you can also do that. Actually, just chilling and streaming my rotation ladder matches. Nothing special. Yeah.
Yeah, as for me, you can follow me at Kyo_SV. And obviously, if you guys want to talk to any of these players, you can find them in Manasearch Discord, especially NtRoPiE, because he really likes to play MQ. So if you want to play,
that's
go check out
that's
our
a different story.
our MMQ champion. Yeah, thank you guys for watching the 11th episode of Manasearch Talk, and we'll see you next time. Bye.